Today, I'll tell you how stimulus checks could be in the next stimulus check package, but under the name cash payments. I'll tell you about how the U.S. economy is stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'll also tell you who will be getting $120 billion in funding, and I'll let you know about the student loan forgiveness situation. Hello, and welcome to today's July 27th Daily News Report, as well as ongoing stimulus check package information video. If you're a subscribed member of my community, then welcome back. And if you're not, consider subscribing right now so I can keep you up to date on what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's going on in these stimulus check packages, the stock market, money, the U.S. economy, and much, much more. All right. Now, in a few days, the $3,000 giveaway that Casey and I are doing to help those in the community win a free hat or $250 in cash will be ending. So I'll be sure to leave a link in the description so that you can go get your name entered. I'd also like to thank today's video sponsor, Omaze, and I'm going to tell you how you could win one of their incredible prizes or a whole bunch of cash. I'll tell you about them later in this video. All right, now before the pandemic, over 60% of Americans would struggle to cover a $500 emergency, and over 50% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. So how do politicians not think that an 18-month emergency would have financial repercussions on this 60%? Many have had multiple months of $500 a month emergencies. So there are a large group of people in the United States that still need financial assistance from the government. The U.S. government, however, is in a very sticky situation. On the one hand, they have bills that need to be passed in order to improve the physical infrastructure and create new jobs. On the other hand, they have spent more than double what they bring in taxes from the people. On the one hand, they have $28 trillion in debt and will have to raise the debt ceiling in order to avoid defaulting on loans owed to other countries, U.S.-backed bonds and T-bills, as well as shutting down the federal government. On the other hand, they have tens of millions of Americans that are on the verge of poverty, on the verge of eviction, on the verge of falling below their income as prices rise at the pump, the grocery store, and just about everywhere else. So I don't envy the position of these politicians, and yet they continue to fight each other instead of working for the benefit of the American people. Now, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the United States must raise the debt ceiling before the end of September, or there will be massive consequences. In 2011, under then President Barack Obama, the debt ceiling was not raised fast enough. The United States' reputation for paying their debts dropped, and so did the stock market. Republicans plan to use the debt ceiling issue to negotiate out wasteful spending from the $3.5 trillion spending bill. According to Senator Thune, the $3.5 trillion spending bill is full of discretionary spending that doesn't need to happen right now. However, Democrats are already pushing back on this idea, saying their agenda items are necessary and will change the country for the better. However, the bill and the country changing agenda items aren't even in writing. So they don't know what is going to be spent when it comes to $3.5 trillion. Now, I have a lot more to share with you, but first let me tell you about today's video sponsor. I want to thank today's video sponsor, Omaze. I'm super excited to announce that I've partnered with Omaze to let my YouTube community have a chance to win one of their biggest prizes yet. A 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom dream house in Miami, Florida, or $1.8 million in cash. All you have to do is go to omaze.com/Gardner and enter for your chance to win. Even better, every donation benefits a great cause. Now, I'm proud to say that Omaze has been featured on the Today Show as well as in the Wall Street Journal. Plus, they've donated a ton of money to help charities and children's hospitals while allowing their community the chance to win cool prizes like this dream house in Florida or $1 million in cash. Now, this particular campaign will help children through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So you get to do good while at the same time having the opportunity to win a dream house in Florida. Now, recently I watched the reveal video of the most recent giveaway. It was a house down in Florida. And let me tell you, the winner, Alexa, she looked super happy and super surprised. So if you've ever wished you could win a dream house or $1.8 million in cash, now's your chance. So hurry on over to omaze.com/Gardner to enter today. And to make it easier on my community, I'm going to leave a link below. According to an article on The Hill, future generations will likely live a much lower level of their living standards. One economist said that America, the America of the future, could be markedly different from what we know now if productivity isn't increased and debt spending reined in. Now, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she isn't working on a bill or planning to bring a bill to the floor until the Senate does. So, unlike last year, where she was leading the charge on new bills, stimulus check packages, and everything else, now she is defaulting on waiting on the Senate to know what will be in the American Families Plan. We just simply don't know what the $3.5 trillion will go towards. Will there be $2,000 stimulus checks? We hope so, but we don't really know, right? Because nothing's in writing just yet. It seems all of her efforts right now are on the January 6th Capitol breach. I would personally like to know the truth of what happened on that day and leading up to that day. But at the same time, I'd also like to see her putting legislation into process because tens of millions of Americans are struggling right now. Now, according to an article on CNN, Democrats would like to add $120 billion to the American Families Plan to help around 8 million people become citizens of the United States. These 8 million are under the DACA program, D-A-C-A program. However, it's not clear whether the Congressional Budget Office or the Senate parliamentarian would allow this into a reconciliation budget vote. So this $120 billion could be a part of the $3.5 trillion, or it might be rejected. Now, Democrats know that Republicans aren't going to vote to spend $120 billion. So this is why they will be pushing to have it added to the American Families Plan. So if you are an immigrant in the DACA program, you might be having $120 billion put into creating a pathway towards citizenship. And if you're already a citizen, you don't benefit from any of this money. Okay. Now, Representative Jesus Garcia of Illinois said he won't vote for the $3.5 trillion bill unless it has immigration reform and a pathway to make more immigrants legal citizens. Other Democrats in the House have expressed similar views. Representative Jayapal says it's time for the Biden administration to get serious about wiping out poverty in the United States. They have full power, meaning that the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And she wants to see cash payments going to the poor. Now, Representative Jayapal didn't say how much she wants to see as cash payments, but when I hear cash payments, I think of the word stimulus check. When I hear cash payments, I think of the words universal basic income. So it appears that Representative Jayapal might be gearing up to throw cash payments into the American Families Plan once we get to the stage of actually putting something in writing, okay? So now she has on her Twitter page that there needs to be a $2,000 survival check, but just recently she keeps using the word cash payments, cash payments. The poor need cash payments. Struggling Americans need cash payments. So that's why I say we may not see them say the word stimulus check. It may be the word cash payments. All right, now I've been saying this for over a month now that I don't think we'll see stimulus checks or cash payments happen for 167 million Americans. But according to many economists, there are about 25 million Americans that stand in great need of cash payments or a fourth stimulus check. So if it is put in, I don't think you'll see Representative Jayapal or Bernie Sanders or Tlaib or AOC pushing for checks for 167 million people. It will likely be a smaller group, and it will likely be that $2,000 number. But we'll see what they actually put in. By the way, thank you guys so much for giving these videos a like. The research required to gather all of this and then boil it down into about 15 minutes is a lot of work. So I hope you find value in these videos, and I appreciate you being in my community. All right, now going back to the debt ceiling situation, the United States technically runs out of money at the end of July, so in just a couple of days. However, Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen said she will deploy extraordinary measures to get the U.S. through the end of September so that politicians in Washington, D.C. can get through the two infrastructure bills. Now, I know that sounds weird, right? I'll get us through running out of money as long as we create more money, right? So it's kind of this weird language in order to keep the government running, but that's the way that it works right now. All right, now yesterday, tens of thousands of Americans marched on Washington, D.C., asking for President Biden to step up and help Cuba gain its freedom. So far, the White House has been quiet on helping the people of Cuba. Today, Senators Warren and Schumer called on President Biden to extend the moratorium on student loan debt and to immediately wipe out $50,000 of student loan debt. These two said this move would immediately help 43 million Americans. The student loan debt, the amount of student loan debt owed to the United States government is $1.6 trillion collectively. Last fall, then President Trump signed into law the student loan debt repayment being pushed out. However, Schumer and Warren say they are disappointed President Biden hasn't done much to help those with student loan debt. Schumer said, to make borrowers repay their debts now would be unfair, would be harsh, and in many instances would be cruel. People were thrown off their stride by COVID. Give them a chance to recover. Representative Ayanna Pressley said, come September, many students will have to choose between paying their debt or food or housing. This is incredibly unfair. This is an issue that definitely needs to be dealt with soon. Another issue that needs to be dealt with even sooner is the fact that many Americans that live on fixed incomes are already having to choose between paying their bills and getting food or paying for housing. So there's an ongoing crisis right now. It's not just students. So the government really needs to make some decisions here. Now, many under Social Security benefits have been waiting for President Biden to keep his campaign promise of increasing Social Security Administration benefits by $200 a month. Now, there's always so much going on in Washington, D.C. There could be money for helping new citizens, but not existing citizens. There might not be stimulus checks, but there could be survival checks or cash payments. The focus and the language around who will be helped seems to change every few days. I appreciate you guys being patient in my community while I try to break this down in as short of a video as I can. There's just so much going on and it changes on a daily basis. So again, I hope you appreciate these progress reports and daily updates Monday through Friday. All right, now this is my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more. Make sure to sign up for the amazing opportunity that Omaze is giving our community, a chance to win a dream home or over $1 million in cash. I'm going to leave that link below. Click on it, go in, enter your email, and get that opportunity to be a winner. Now, before you go, I want to remind you you're already a winner, right? And that you are amazing. And I appreciate you being in my community. And I'll see you on the next video.